Hello from a very frozen and cold Wisconsin. Unless you're in Florida, this Arctic blast is affecting nearly everybody across the country to some degree. But seriously, I also want to send our well wishes to everyone in Texas during this cold spell, and I hope that you're safe and staying warm down there. Here in Wisconsin, I know for some of our northern marketers, spending a few weeks with below zero temperatures and that nonstop snowfall is kind of sadly a recurrence each winter, and you just kind of get used to it. But I do think it really helps us make us appreciate, the spring, summer, and the fall season. So, make sure you stay warm out there. No matter where you're coming from, we do appreciate you taking the time to join us today as we share 13 ways that lubricant marketers are using CRM to drive success. I'm Chad Collette. I'm the Director of Marketing at Ledgy Partners. And for those not familiar, Ledgy is a business and technology consulting company with a focus on CRM, primarily helping companies succeed with Microsoft Dynamics 365 and Salesforce. Now, one industry we have a great deal of experience and knowledge with is helping lubricant and fuel distributors across North America really utilize CRM to streamline their processes, gain efficiencies, and connect with their customers to drive growth. And along the way, we've developed some key ways and functionality that really CRM can be used to accomplish this. Now, before I introduce our main speaker, I do want to hit on just a couple of those housekeeping items. First up, today's webinar is being recorded and it will be available on demand. You want to watch your inbox this afternoon for a follow-up email from me when I'm going to provide the on-demand link as well as a few additional resources that you might find insightful. Now, please feel free to share this with any others in your organization as well. Now, if you're not done so already, please make sure to add @ledgypartners.com to your safe senders list so it really ensures our emails hit your inbox. Secondly, to ensure the best audio quality, we have everybody in listen-only mode. But if you have any questions along the way, please enter those in the question pane of your GoToWebinar control panel. And if I can't address those during the webinar, we'll definitely follow up with you within 24 hours. So please, if you have any questions, comments, requests, please ask away. Now I want to introduce and welcome Steve Raybrock from Ledgy Partners. Steve has a tremendous amount of experience working with lubricant marketers over the years and has shown thousands of users how to take advantage of specific functionality within CRM that will not only make their life much, much easier, but give them access to key data and give them the greatest chance at success and growth. Steve, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Chad. And yeah, I'm trying to stay warm over here at my house as well. So I hope everybody's doing well. We have a ton of stuff to cover today. I'm going to do my best to keep this about 45 minutes. It could go slightly over, but I will try to keep it fast paced. Obviously, this is not training or I'd be going much slower. I just want to make sure I can show you some of the features in the system. I think we decided there's 13 that we're going to cover today. So before I jump into it, I thought I would just throw this slide out there real quick. This is a list of some of those marketers around the country who are using the system I'm about to show you. So let's get into it. What's our overview agenda? We're going to take a look at our, discuss those 13 options. Then I'm going to come into a demonstration. And then throughout the demonstration, if you do have questions, I don't know if we're going to have time at the end to get to them, but I will follow up with anybody who drops a message in the chat or the question window for Chad. So let's talk about those 13 topics we want to discuss today. Number one, an important one, is getting a good full view of a customer. You might hear that term, a 360 view. So what we want to try to do is get every bit of information we possibly can about a customer in one spot, so it's easy for someone to get at that data and then turns into information and you can make better, faster decisions. So we're going to spend some time on that. We're definitely going to spend some time talking about opportunities. The pipeline management is key to a lot of sales organizations, so we're going to talk about that. We want to capture share of wallet information. Who are your competitors? What are your competitors buying from your current prospects or your current customers? And then we're going to jump into ways to help you cross-sell, upsell, suggestive sell. There's a lot of different buzzwords out there, and we have lots of features to help you grow your business. It's really just to help you by using the data that's available to help you generate more ideas, more opportunities. Then for those of you who are into measuring things, I'm a big believer in what gets measured gets done. If you set goals, because of some data integration we have, we are going to be able to show you your goal versus actual. And then, as far as the company goes, a department goes, a salesperson goes, it's easy to see where you're at. Then if you do that step, another feature to take that one step further is we've got some gap to goal analysis you can have the system do for you to really determine, what do I need to do to hit my goal? Where are my gaps? But again, in order to do that, you have to set goals and you have to have a good solid pipeline. So a lot of these features you'll see kind of depend on one another. And I wouldn't expect any organization to just, boom, be able to do this all out of the gate. We put together a plan to start with the basics, and then just every month or two, you add a feature, you add another thing for the team to be accountable for, and you just grow and grow and grow, and pretty soon you'll be using all of these features. That's exactly what happens with our existing customer base. Nobody starts out using the whole thing, but they sure are appreciative when the features are there when they need them. Okay, then we'll jump into managing your territories, how to kind of plot things on a map to kind of help know where things are. And then the last 6 items, we'll talk about our loaned equipment feature. I will touch briefly on the data integration, but you'll see that throughout. But when I get to this part of it, I'll pull out a couple specific items. But as far as the data integration goes, if you think about your accounting system having like the main data, the data that we want to replicate in CRM, things like your customers, your products, your order history. Those are things that, man, if we can get them into CRM and make it easy for a salesperson to access, we're gonna gain a lot of traction with user adoption. And then there are other optional files that I'll touch on as well. If you care about what kind of inventory you have on hand or customer pricing. So I'll touch on some of that throughout. Some of you are also in the fuel business. I'll show you a small feature where you can send out fuel notifications daily to get your fuel prices in front of your customers. I wish I had more time because I could spend hours talking about activity tracking, which is probably one of the least used but most powerful features in the system. If you can get your organization to be an activity-driven organization, man, you will gain efficiency and productivity and accountability. That'll go through the roof. I do have the mobile app on here because that is a key feature, a key module that we have, but I really don't have anything to show you, so I'm just going to talk about that one right now. Most of what I show you today that relates to what a salesperson would want to do out in the field, pull up an account, look at the last time they ordered, update a contact, call a contact, update your opportunity, update a contact, create a lead, qualify a lead. All of that you can do on your phone. So your phone probably has a data plan, you're connected to the internet, or you're connected through Wi-Fi. Just go log into the app and you can do stuff. So imagine you just drove into a customer site. You kind of want to get an idea of what's going on with this account before you walk in. Couple taps on your phone and you're going to go in knowing a lot about this customer. And then when you come out of the visit, you can update what just happened and then move on to the next call. So the mobile app was a game changer for a lot of our clients. And then the last thing we'll touch on is KPIs, key performance indicators. Again, this has to do with measuring things and holding people accountable. So what's important to you? You can create these KPIs, set these KPIs once, and then every night the system scrunches all the numbers, and anytime you want throughout the day, you don't have to look at them every day, right? Maybe it's only before you go into a sales meeting, you look at how you're doing on your KPIs. And we kind of use the old red, yellow, green. So if they're all green, things are good. And then we also show you the data that goes along with why we determined it's red, yellow, or green. So lots of cool stuff. I'm going to be going in speed mode here. So let's get right in and take a look. So let's see, flip over to CRM. Okay. I'm going to do this kind of in the order that they were on the slides. So it might seem like I'm bouncing around a bit, but it's just a lot of topics to cover. So the first item was really talking about that 360 view of a customer. So the best way to do that is really to pull up an account or a customer. So I could do that a number of different ways. I'm just going to use one of the search features. There's a number of different ways to search for accounts, but I use this Fairview Manufacturing quite a bit because they have a lot of data out there. So I'm going to go to Fairview Manufacturing and just open up this account. So I searched and I clicked on it. So I'm basically searching and I click into this. And what you'll notice is there's really not a ton of information on this particular screen, but there's a lot of tabs up here where you can get different information. So instead of having to scroll down and scroll, once you get used to these forms and these tabs, you'll know exactly where to go. So I'm just going to cover a couple of them. I can't cover everything today. I'm just going to jump over to this one called amounts. So what's in here? This is a completely configurable screen. This has to do with this data integration. So any dollar amount, I guess there's up to 10 of them, any $10 amounts that are in your accounting system that you think would be nice to expose to a CRM user, we can include that in the data integration. So in this particular example, again, this is all configurable. This doesn't have to look like this at all. These can be whatever you want, but in this case, it looks like we're bringing over, how much do they owe us? How much is current? How much is past due? What was their last statement amount, payment amount, and a couple other things on here. So we can get real creative with what you think is of value in CRM. I'll jump over to another one, a real obvious thing in CRM. You want to keep track of the people that you deal with. So for Fairview Manufacturing, who are the contacts? So these are the list of the people that I deal with at Fairview Manufacturing. You can easily add a contact, deactivate a contact, click on one of these and update the information about that contact. So basic contact management. What I really wanted to point out is over here on the right, what we're doing is we're analyzing your invoice data for the last 12 months, and then we're summarizing it by product. So what you're seeing here is a list of products that this customer purchased in the last 12 months, showing you how much they purchased, but it's showing you the product they bought the most of down to the product they bought the least of. So this just kind of gives you an idea of how big the customer is, what they've been buying from you. And then we also show things like, again, over the last 12 months, how much revenue that product produced from that customer, how much gross profit, what the profit per unit was, so how much have you been making, in this case, per gallon, over the last year, and then when's the last time they ordered each product. So that's kind of a nice one. Another one I'm not going to get into too much, but it's very obvious. We want to tie everything to the account. So what activities are connected to this account? What opportunities are we working? What quotes do I have out there? You don't have to jump all over the place to get this. It's all on this account screen, just under a different tab. All right, the last thing I think I'll show you on the tabs is when I showed you that order history summary, you can go right down to the detail if you want. So by clicking this tab, it just gives you a list of what I kind of describe as each line item on an invoice going backwards in time. So I dumped a lot of data in the system early this year, so you'll see a lot of stuff with the same date, but just basic information, invoice information, what product they purchased, how much the customer paid, what was our cost, how many did they buy, how much revenue and gross profit did it produce. Once we have this detailed data, we can create a lot of reports and a lot of dashboards and whatnot. All right, I think the last thing I'm going to show, I've been showing a lot of data, just the last thing on this kind of this 360 view, and again, there's more, but just one last thing I'll show you. Some people are a little bit more graphical. I'm more of a data freak, so I like the numbers. But here's a way for you to look graphically at that invoice data, that order history data. And over here on the left, we analyze how is this customer doing so far this year, this fiscal year, compared to the same time period last year. And my data is kind of skewed because I load the same data usually every year. But then we also look at how are they doing the most recent 12 months versus the prior 12 months. If you hover over any of these charts, you can see the exact numbers. And then we break down these charts by what we call product segments. So it's how you group your products. So in my example here, it looks like, grease, heavy duty, and industrial oil is what this customer has been buying. So all of what I'm showing you is very configurable. And by that, I mean, these product segments are going to be how you group your product, right? It's not going to look like this. So whatever you have for your products, that's part of the kind of the setup. All right, so there's your super fast 360 view of a customer. The next thing that we talked on was opportunities, which is a very important part of the system. So I just went into opportunities. So these are my open opportunities. So I have, looks like about 32 opportunities that are mine, that I'm working right now. So this is the business I'm going after. Some might be for existing customers, some might be for prospects. I could create an opportunity by qualifying a lead, by going into the account and going down to that opportunity grid and creating an opportunity from there. I could come in here and just hit the new button and create an opportunity. Very easy to create an opportunity. I'll just pull up one real quick just to show you what an opportunity screen looks like. There's definitely a business process here that has stages to it. So as you're working your opportunity, you're advancing what stage it's in. So where is this opportunity kind of in the real world? So right now I'm in the presentation stage. And if the customer finally accepts the proposal, I can just change this answer to yes and go to the next stage. I could go back a stage if I wanted to. So we definitely talk about how and when to move your opportunity through the sales process. And then there's some basic information, who is this opportunity for? What department is it for? What brand might I be pushing to this customer? What is the type of the opportunity? I would say the more important information is under this second tab. How big of an opportunity is it? What's the status of it? And when do I think I'm going to close it? This is a really important date because this helps us with a lot of reporting and analysis, gap to goal analysis for one thing, strength of pipeline. So you always want this estimated close date to be somewhere out in the future. All right. I guess another thing just to show you from a manager's perspective, right? So I'm looking at mine. You can always go in and look at, there's all these different views. You can go and look at all of the open opportunities in the system. So there's 65 of them. If you're kind of a data person, right, you might work off of this screen. You can filter and you can sort on any of these columns. So if you wanted to see your biggest opportunity based on units, you can just click here and say sort this highest to lowest. If you wanted to filter on it, you only want to see those that are in stage 4. You could filter on another column. You could say, look, I only care about those that are in stage 4. And you're just kind of massaging the data to give you the answers that you want. So a lot of functionality within lists of data. But what most people do is they work off of our dashboards. So I'm going to put on kind of my manager hat, and I'm going to go into just a couple of the dashboards. I think the last time I counted, there was 12 dashboards and 56 charts, all helping you analyze your opportunities, your pipeline. Now, you'll never use all of them. Some people use these, some people use those. You'll gravitate to the ones that are important to you. So here's a simple one. This is basically just counting. Remember, I think we said there was 65 open opportunities. How many opportunities are in the system by the month they were created? Why would I care about that? Well, if I see some that are old, maybe I've got a little cleanup exercise, right? So maybe you'll just look at this, for a few minutes and you'll be good. How many open opportunities do I have in each of my departments? You might call them divisions or profit centers, right? Many of our customers do more than lubricants. Some do lubricants and fuel. Some just do fuel. Some have a big DEF division. It's so big, it's a separate department to them, or service or equipment. So what's nice about that is then you can break down the data by what we call department. And then probably the most important one here is how many open opportunities does each person have? And you as a manager might have kind of a sweet spot, right? Some of these folks probably don't have enough. Maybe, Steve, maybe 32 is too high. Maybe, to really be productive and do good at managing your pipeline, you need somewhere between 15 and 30 opportunities, right? Whatever your magic number is, this just kind of gives you an idea. So that's one of many sets of charts. Another one, you can always analyze the pipeline as far as gross profit, revenue, or volume goes. So there's 3 separate dashboards for that. I'll just jump into volume or units. So how many units are in the pipeline by department, by person, and then by sales stage? And with almost all of these charts that I'm showing you, you can interact with the data. So, charts are great, but sometimes they trigger a question. So I could be looking at this chart right here and say, okay, we have 251,000 gallons of volume in stage 4, right? We're just about to close these deals. The customer said yes, they just didn't place their first order yet, or their credit app's being processed. Like, what do those look like? What are those? Well, there's this magic button behind the 3 dots here that says basically, show me the data that's producing this chart. So now I've got this chart and I have the data, and these are those same 65 records I was looking at earlier. But now what I can do is I can click on, let's say, this part of the chart, and it's going to narrow this list down to just those 17 that are in stage 4, and I could just kind of eyeball these. But if this list was too long, if I really wanted to, I could break this list down into like another chart. And that's what this little thing is here. It seems a little confusing at first, but you basically just pick the field in the opportunity record. And a lot of times people might either make this chart by department or maybe by owner, which is like the salesperson. So let's just do that. So I'm just going to make a chart of every opportunity that's in stage 4. I'll make a bar chart by owner, by salesperson. So this is telling me that, Steve has about 146,000 gallons of opportunities in stage 4, ready to close. And guess what? I could just click on this if I wanted to, and it'll narrow down the list to just Steve's opportunities in stage 4. So you can really probe into the data, get your questions answered, you're meeting with somebody, you're in front of the team, you can just probe into the data and get whatever information you need. And at any time, you can just click on any of these opportunities and just open it up. And you'll be looking at the screen I was on a minute ago, looking at the opportunity. All right, one last thing I want to show you when it comes to pipeline management. And again, there are more charts. Actually, one more chart and one report I'll run for you. So I'm just going to hit the back button here. Just one other dashboard to help you managers and even your sales team kind of gauge the accuracy or the cleanliness of your pipeline, right? There's lots of different ways to do that. But what we did is we put together a couple charts, and I'll just focus on these top 2. How many opportunities are out there with a bad estimated close date? How many opportunities are out there that haven't been updated in at least 30 days, right? You want these charts to be blank. If they're not, right, you can drill into the data and find out who the culprits are, and focus on getting this cleaned up and changing behaviors. All right, one quick report that we created recently that's become quite popular is called a strength of pipeline report. So when you run that report, what it's asking you to do is look out into the future, like a couple of weeks, a couple of months, to let the system tell you, how strong is your pipeline through that date. So I'm just going to go out, I'll just go out a couple months here. And then based on the date I picked, it knows that I have opportunities in these departments. So which departments do I care about? Maybe I care about all of them, but I'll just pick a couple. Based on those selections, these are the sales folks who have opportunities that are within this date for these departments. So I could pick a couple salespeople, or I could just say, hey, give me everybody. Then you go to run this report. And it's a pretty short report. It's a report that's by department, and then shows you each salesperson within the department. And then I'll just use mine because it looks like I have some data in here. And what's really important is probably the first 5 or 6 columns here. The rest of it is just kind of information to help you kind of manage the team. But really what it's saying is, Steve, you have 24 opportunities that in lubricants that are going to close by April 30th. And here's how much we think your strength is for gross profit and volume. So how we calculate that, if you're interested, I'll just scroll over real quick. We look at all those opportunities and we look at what stage they're in the sales process. And based on the stage they're in, we weight the estimated value of that opportunity. And you can control these percentages. If you don't like these, just let us know and we'll adjust them. Some people like to say if you're in the very first stage, that opportunity is worth 10%. In my world, I don't think that's worth anything yet. So I'm going to weight that as 0. But if an opportunity's moved over to this stage, we're going to give that a 25% value. So whatever I entered for, let's say, estimated volume, if it was 1,000 gallons, I'm only going to add 250 gallons to my strength, because I'm only probably going to recognize 25% of the opportunities that get this far are going to get all the way to the end. So again, it's not a perfect science, but it definitely gives you a gauge. Another cool column on here that we put on here just to help you keep your reports clean is this column right here is saying, hey, there's a bunch of opportunities out there that have a bad estimated close date. So I couldn't even analyze them. They probably don't have a date or the dates in the past. So let's get that cleaned up. This column shouldn't have any in it, right? So kind of a cool report. I know I've taken a lot of time already, but these two features are big. I mean, pipeline management and just managing your accounts and having access to that data is important. But I am going to try to pick it up a notch here. So we talked about some suggestive sell and competitor share of wallet information. So what I'm going to do is see if I can jump back to Fairview Manufactured using my recently viewed button. And just a real simple thing, we want to get information about your prospects and about your customers in CRM and out of people's heads. So as you learn more about a customer and who they're or a prospect and who they're buying their stuff from, we've got this add share a wallet competitor. And the thought here is you would enter a department, a product segment, like they're buying their grease or their coolant from this competitor. And if I had that business, how much would it be on an annual basis? I'm not going to bother typing all that in, but you're going to want your team to do that. And then whenever you pull up this account, there's one of these tabs. Hey, do I have any potential share of wallet? Who am I competing with? Right. Well, guess what? Fairview Manufacturing is buying their industrial oil from ABC Oil Company to the tune of about 7,500 gallons a year. So this is where that competitor share of wallet information goes when you click that button up there. All right. Another way to kind of keep track or try to get more business besides capturing competitor information is we have a button that's called suggestive sell. So what this is doing is it's looking at all the things this customer buys, all the things they're not buying, and based on some relationships that we set up with you on to kind of pull all this together, based on all of that data, the system says you might want to talk to this customer about your antifreeze and your automotive line. Again, that's all data driven. You only have to set this up once. It takes about half an hour to kind of map your product segments against each other, and then the system will do the rest. So that's one way to help kind of look for ways to kind of grow businesses, add to some share of wallet. We also have a report that you could run if you're interested. So what I've done here so far was at one specific account. But if you want to look at all your accounts, the concept here, what I've learned with knowing the business is, in general, if a customer buys X, they usually buy Y, right? It's not perfect, but so knowing that, what you can do is you can run this report. I'm going to do it kind of quick. And I know I don't have like a ton of data out here, but it's going to ask me for a range of dates. And I'm going to go way back in time just to make sure I get enough numbers. I'm not going to go back that far. And what it's asking you to do is pick two product segments. And again, these are going to be your product segments. So I'm just going to make up a story. Let's just use an example of, hey, most of our folks who buy grease from us also buy stuff in our automotive line, right? So show me the numbers in volume. Show me anybody over this time period who bought at least one or both of those product lines. So I'm just going to say view the report, and it's going to go out and look at lots of data. I think I'll try to make this a little bit bigger. Got to remember to reduce that when we go back. So what did I get? I got this list of customers and all information about the customer, but over here on the right is in that time period, how much grease did they buy? How much automotive stuff did they buy? And what's the variance? So if our philosophy is right, people who buy grease also buy automotive. Man, why isn't this particular customer buying our automotive stuff, right? And one thing you can do with this report is you can sort it by this variance. So it's going to quickly show you all of those who buy a lot of automotive, but not a lot of grease. And then if I flip it the other way, I'll sort it descending. Now it's going to show me those that buy a lot of grease, but hardly any automotive. So just another tool, right? Maybe things are slow. You want to kind of take a look at your customer base. You can use this tool for that. All right. Moving on to setting goals and measuring goals versus actual. So I'm not going to show you how to set goals. It's pretty simple. You fill out a spreadsheet, there's a wizard, and you load the goals. What I'm about to show you you get right out of the box, everything is done. Once we do the data integration, you'll see that we're going to be able to present to you your actual. So I'm going to go to this corporate goal scorecard. So how's the company doing? And I can look at gross profit and I can look at volume. I'm actually going to, before I forget, I'm going to reduce this just a little bit so things don't get chopped off on me. All right, so I'm looking at year-to-date gross profit. This blue bar is actuals. I get that automatically. It just grows throughout the year as we load more invoice data every night. But these circles and then the numbers you see over here on when I hover over it, those are because I set goals. And we break those goals down by quarter. And you can say if you have any seasonality, you'll see quarter four isn't near as, I'm not expecting near as much in quarter four as I was in quarter three here. So if I'm just about done with the year, I should be pretty darn close to that top circle. So this is how the company's doing for gross profit. Again, I could look at volume if I wanted to. And I can click on this. And then here's where we definitely talk about this when we set up the system with you. We talk about your departments because now I want to break that down by department. How are your departments doing? Again, goal versus actual. You always get the actuals, but if you set goals, you'll get the circles. And then you can drill into that. I'll just drill into lubricants because a lot of our customers use this next level, which we call product category, to break out their brands. So how are we doing Chevron, other private label? Maybe you have Phillips 66, Shell, Valvoline, doesn't matter, right? These are your brands. So then you can find out how you're doing goal versus actual for brands. And I could drill into that. And then we do it by product segment. And I could even drill into that and say, what salespeople are helping us hit our lubricant, Chevron, heavy duty goal, right? And here we are. And we actually set goals down to the salesperson level for that. So pretty powerful tool. If you're managing the sales team, instead of looking at it from a corporate perspective, I could look at it from a salesperson perspective. And I think I only set goals for myself here. So again, goal versus actual for everybody on your sales team. And you can drill into the data to just drill down by department, by product category, but it starts out summarizing everything for Steve or a given salesperson. Now, we wouldn't want everybody to have access to all these charts, but we do want people, we want to be transparent. We want people to see their goal and their actual, so everyone in the company would have access to my goal scorecard. So how does my stuff look? This is my gross profit for my customers' gross profits versus my goal. And again, I could have looked over at volume. So volume, I'm a little bit ahead of my goal, but gross profit, I was about right on it for the year. All right, there's also, I'm not going to show you this, but there's also, if you're into the numbers, there's reports you can run that will just show you, kind of like the other report I showed you, that'll show you, each salesperson, what's their goal and what's their actual. So if you want numbers, you can get reports. All right, we talked about taking these goals to the next level, doing some gap to goal analysis. So that's over in the sales area. Kind of checking the clock here while it's flipping screens. All right, not much time. Oh, I'm not even half done. No, I'm gonna pick up the pace here. So what you can do is you can set whatever gap to goal analysis you want the system to do. So I just have a couple in here. I said, look, I want you to check the gap to goal of my lubricants department. I want you to also check Steve's gap to goal. And then I want you to get real specific here. Check Steve's gap to goal for just the lubricants department. So the system is going to scrunch the numbers every night. Or, I've got these set to run daily, but you can do it every week if you don't want to do it every night. And then whenever you want, you can just go in and look at the results. And I think I made a view just so you won't have to see all the clutter. So this is like 1 day's worth. So I set 3 gap to goal analysis to be run. So every night it builds 3 records. You might get your answer right off of this screen once you get used to all these numbers, but bear with me. I'm just going to open this one record up. I'm not going to go through every single one of these. We actually define all our calculations right here on this screen. But what we're basically doing is in the middle column here, this is all about volume, and over on the right, it's all about gross profit. So it depends on what you care about. And at a super high level, what we're doing is we're finding out in this case how the lubricants department is doing so far this year for actuals Then we kind of look at the rest of the year and some averages and kind of do some estimating. Then we look at their pipeline for all the lubricant opportunities. We look at the win rate of all the lubricant opportunities historically. We look at the deal size, and we scrunch all of them numbers, and we kind of show you the numbers along the way as we're doing the math. But by the time we get done, you could really sneak down to this answer. The data says in order for us to hit our lubricant goal, team, we need 149 more opportunities in the pipeline. So when, as a manager, when I use this, I probably wouldn't use this feature the first couple months of the year, right? We're still just picking up speed. And then by the time it gets to the last couple months of the year, we probably don't have enough time, to add a bunch of opportunities to, hit our goal, right? Because if you win an opportunity, you're not going to reap the benefits for that opportunity, only a little bit, maybe at the end of the year. So you really want to focus on this probably from month 3 to 10. This might be a tool you would use with your team. All right. Territory management, super quick here. We have a dashboard that you can plot accounts or leads on a map. There's a number of ways to do that. I'm just going to show you one so you can get a sense. You can put in an account. You can just put in an address. You can make your own view and put that on a map. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in a city. I'm just going to put in old Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm going to say, show me all of my accounts and leads within 20 miles of Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm going to be driving over there. Should I make appointments or stop and see anybody on the way? So if I zoom out, you'll see that this should be, yep, this is Green Bay, Wisconsin. So I'm going to zoom back in. And what these circles are accounts or leads within 20 miles of Green Bay. And if you wanted to know the legend here, so green are customers, red is our prospects, blues would be leads, and anything other than that would be a black dot. So let's say I'm driving into the city this way. Well, who is this? So I can just hover over the circle and click it, and it'll tell me who that is. And I could actually right here view that account. I could click this button. It would open up that account record where I have that 360 view. I can see everything about the customer, decide if I want to call them, visit them, schedule an appointment with them, what have you. So I can do that with this. We also give you a list on the bottom here of all of the customers and prospects and leads that are on the map. So there's territory management in speed mode. Equipment tracking, another cool feature. You can use equipment tracking for like really any piece of equipment. Most folks use it for tanks. Most of our customers have a lot of tanks out there and they don't know where they are or how long they've been there or whatever. So this system helps give it a handle on that. But you could use this same thing for your fleet of trucks, for generators, for you name it. So what you do is you go into the system and you create a record for all of your equipment. So this is like all of our tanks and whatever else I put in here. And then the important part then, I'll just pull one up here, is you tell the system where this tank is out in the real world. And if you do that consistently, there's even going to be then a history of where this tank has been. So it's easy for me to kind of just scroll down here and see, like back in 2011, we loaned this to this customer for a couple of weeks, then we rented it to this customer for a couple of months, and then we pulled it back and it sat in our Appleton warehouse, our internal storage, for years. And finally, we loaned it to Fairview Manufacturing. And because there's no end date, if everybody's using the system right, that means that's where that tank is. So there's a lot of other features that go with it. I'll just rattle off one. I'm just going to open up this record real quick. If I wanted to, if it's a tank, I can actually document what product they promised to put in that tank. And then if they did make some type of commitment, how much did they promise to put in the tank each year? Now I've got enough information to tell you who's not meeting their commitments. And you might want to make a little visit and talk to those folks. Okay, that's equipment management. There's more to it, but that gives you kind of a good idea. We did talk about data integration throughout this already with accounts. We integrate your products, your order history. You saw a lot of that. I'll just show you a couple real quick. If you have accounts with special pricing and you want to feed that into CRM, so if a customer bought this product today, what would their price be? You can just go into this related records section. And again, if you use this data integration piece, you can go to this account product prices And this just says these are all the products that your customer is set up in on your accounting system. And if they bought these products today, this is their price. So it's pretty simple. It's account, product, price. And that would come from your accounting system. The other thing that some of our customers have asked for is apparently their sales team cares how much you have in inventory of your products. So again, if this is in your accounting system and you wanted to send it our way, I'm just going to pull up a product here that I'm pretty sure has some data. You can pull up a product and just basic information about the customer. We talked about things like product segment and product category, right? How do you group your product? But if I just wanted to see how much do we have of that product, I can go to product balances. Again, this data is all driven from your accounting system. These are all our locations. You can send whatever of these values you have. In this case, I made up a lot of good numbers. Like here's how much we have on hand, but we have some that are on order from our supplier, some that the customer has on order, some that are on back order, some that are committed. So here's what's available. Well, if your system only has like account on or a balance on hand, just that's all you need to send over to CRM. Say for this product, for this location, here's how much we have. And now that's available to CRM users. All right. Whew, Chad, I am going to go over. I have 4 quick topics. Fuel price notifications. So the concept here is somebody would send out, they would enter base prices every day, and then any customer or prospect that you have set up to get the prices, we would create some emails and blast a bunch of emails to all the contacts who you want to get the email. And so the way it works at a real high level is you just code a customer as yes, I want them to get, or a prospect, yes, I want them to get the email. If it's a prospect, you might want to put in an expiration date. So maybe they get your email for about a month and then they stop getting it. Maybe they'll call you. Say, hey, I stopped getting your prices. Well, maybe you should buy from me. And then what you do is you set up all the different products you want them to get the price for. But really what you're doing at the account level here is you're just setting up the markup to that base price. So if somebody would go in and enter the base price of Super NOLED for $2, this customer is going to get $2.12 is your price today. Because we're saying add 12 cents to this before you send the email. All right, so that's fuel price notification in super speed mode. Activity tracking, really important. Again, I'm going to jump, I'm going to close out of this and go to accounts. And I thought I had one account that didn't have a lot of stuff. I'm just going to pick this account right here. So activities are really designed to keep track of things that you've done, which is great, right? So then it's not in your head, it's in CRM. But even as important, the things that you're supposed to do. So, really a stretch goal for an organization would be to have every prospect and every account should have an open activity, right? Or at least an open opportunity or an open activity, right? Something that I'm doing something with every single account that's in CRM. So activities are pretty simple. I said powerful, but they don't get used a lot. So I actually created this one earlier, so I'm just going to save you making me type stuff. But if I went in to create a new activity, these are all the different activity types. And what I did before is I just went in and I got the screen that looked like this. So I created this activity called schedule a visit with Bob in April. So I just typed that in and I gave it a due date of April 2nd. So maybe I was talking to Bob today and he said, hey, give me a call sometime in April and let's set something up. I want to learn more. So put a good note in here. Obviously my description should have been a little bit better than this. You're basically talking to yourself in the future. And then you would just save and close that. And that's why I ended up with that open activity for this account. Now, hopefully you have activities scattered throughout the system. You're not going to want to have to go in to look at every one of your accounts to see if you have an activity. So CRM is nice enough to pull all your activities together into one place. And then you can say, show me all the activities that are due, let's say today or before today. So these are a couple activities that are due that I'm either behind. So here's one due that I should have done on the 15th. Here's one I should have did, looks like today, the 17th. But I can, if I'm kind of caught up, I can look ahead. Looks like I'm caught up 7 days. I can go out 90 days. And so these are all the activities I have out there. Now, hopefully you'll have a lot more. So then when you do that activity, you can update it and then you can mark it complete. And then that activity will be stored, tied to the account again, so you have a history. And then hopefully you would generate, based on that visit or whatever you did with that person, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to set a reminder to reach out again in 90 days or 6 months or a year or whatever. So then there's always something driving you on what to do using activities. Okay, the mobile app we touched on already. So we thought, oh, the last one is KPIs. Hey, I'm doing pretty good here. Key performance indicators, super cool tool, super powerful, super easy for you to use. It's not a lot of work. So the concept is, first of all, you need to determine what's important to you. So I've determined I've got some KPIs here that I already set up. So this must be what's important to me. I'll just show you if I hit the new button to set up a new one. Here's a list of all the different KPIs we have in the system, and we've designed it where it's fairly easy for us to add more if somebody comes up with different ones. So a couple examples, do I want to set a KPI to grow my gross profits business percentage, X percentage over last year? Or do I want to grow volume X percentage over last year? Do I care about, completed activities, accuracy of opportunities, won opportunities, on and on and on. So lots of different KPIs you can set. And the cool part is you can set them for the organization, for a customer, for a salesperson, for a department. So you can set these at a lot of different levels. And then basically you set like the level for green. So I want to increase our gross profit by, let's say, 5%. But if I'm not at least 3%, I got to go red. So anything in the middle would be yellow. So then every night the system scrunches the data, and every day you can look at the results, and we have a history. So every day there's data. I'm just looking at today's results, but I could look at all the results if I wanted to. So very quickly, right? Red, yellow, green. So if I'm all green, right, I'm moving on. If I see a couple of reds, maybe I want to drill in to see what's going on. So we give you the colors, we give you the numbers, and then you can dig deeper if you want to. So Chad, I think those are 13 ways lubricant marketers are using our CRM to make life better for them. I am going to get back over here to the PowerPoint and switch it over to Chad, who's probably going to recommend a personalized demo and mention a few other things. So Chad, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Steve. For anybody that's been on one of our webinars before or knows Steve, he could talk about this stuff all day, and that was super speed mode to hit on 13 things. That could have been easily twice as long, if not much longer than that. So again, with these 13 ways, this really just scratches the surface. If you're interested in this, these are things that we've developed within CRM, that, can be done, come out of the box with CRM for oil and gas. So, the best way to see how it'll work specifically for you is to request a personal demo. So you can see a full on-demand demo. You can contact us to request a personal demo. So again, this webinar was recorded, so we appreciate you coming to our to check it out. On our website, there's a slew of resources, including a number of case studies for a lot of industry peers that you may recognize. So feel free to check those out at ledgeupartners.com. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it and appreciate your time. Stay safe out there and stay well. Any questions, we look forward to speaking with you. Thank you very much.